Title: The Call That Changed Everything. Blake Morrison was standing near the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office, watching the last golden rays of sunlight stretch across the Manhattan skyline. At just 30, he had built a business empire that dictated the rhythm of global finance. He was a man who predicted the future for a living, yet nothing could have prepared him for what happened next. His phone buzzed against the glass-topped desk. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Years in business had taught him that such calls rarely brought anything good. Still, something compelled him to pick up. "This is Blake Morrison," he said curtly. A tiny voice came through. "Hi, Dad. Can you come pick me up from school, please?" The glass of bourbon he was holding slipped from his fingers, shattering on the floor. "What? Who is this?" he asked, his voice suddenly dry. "I'm Liam. I'm 5. My teacher, Miss Harper, is helping me call because my mom didn't pick me up. She's sick." The name hit him like a slap. Amanda. The memory surfaced 6 years ago, a summer in Paris. Candlelight dinners, midnight walks along the Seine, whispered promises beneath a sky full of stars, and then, without warning, she disappeared. "No oubliez. No explanation. Nothing." "Where are you right now?" he asked, struggling to keep his voice level. The boy gave him the name of the school, and Blake was already grabbing his coat. "Don't go anywhere. I'm coming." He sped through the streets in his Bentley, his knuckles white as he gripped the wheel. For the first time in years, he felt unmoored, a man with no control. He found the Scola, modest brick building on the Upper West Side. In the courtyard sat a small boy on a red bench, a Spider-Man backpack by his feet. Beside him stood a young teacher with kind eyes and a protective hand on his shoulder. As Blake approached, the boy looked up. It was like staring into the past. The same stormy blue eyes, the same tousle brown hair, even the tiny birthmark above the right eyebrow, a Morrison family trait. "Dad," the boy asked. Blake knelt down, his voice failing him. "Hi, Liam." Without hesitation, Liam wrapped his small arms around Blake's legs. And in that moment, the last of Blake's emotional armor shattered. Miss Harper stepped forward gently. Amanda had been rushed to the hospital that morning, she explained. Before collapsing, she had told a neighbor to find a business card she kept hidden in a jewelry box. Blake's card. He signed the paperwork to take Liam home. His mind reeled. Why had Amanda kept this from him? Was she dying? How could he not have known he had a son? Back in the car, Liam talked nonstop about his mom, his favorite cartoons, and the dinosaur toy he'd left at home. Blake kept glancing at him in the rearview mirror, the weight of 5 lost years crushing him. That night, they drove to Memorial Hospital, the oncology ward. The word itself was a punch to the gut. A nurse led them to the 5th floor. There, a young oncologist, Dr. Sophia Lynn, delivered the news. Amanda had lymphoma. She'd refused treatment for a long time, relying instead on alternative therapies. When she finally turned to traditional medicine, the cancer had already advanced aggressively. Without immediate chemotherapy, she had maybe weeks left. The ground shifted beneath him. Then came another jolt. "What are you doing here?" The sharp voice came from down the hall. Elaine Carter, Amanda's mother, stood like a thundercloud, her eyes blazing. "You have some nerve," she hissed. "You abandoned her when she needed you most." Blake stood firm. "I didn't know. I swear. Amanda never told me she was pregnant. I looked for her after she left Paris, but she left because your father offered her money to disappear. Your family didn't want her around. Don't act like the victim." Blake's stomach churned. His parents. Of course. "I didn't know," he said hoarsely. She turned away. "Your son wants to see his mother." Blake followed them to the room. Amanda lay pale and thin, her once lustrous hair now gone, a scarf wrapped around her fragile head. But her eyes still held that spark that had captivated him so many years ago. "Liam," she whispered. The boy climbed onto the bed beside her. "Look, I found Dad, just like you told me to." Her gaze shifted to Blake. "Jack," she whispered. "I'm sorry." He leaned forward, his voice trembling. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Not now," she murmured, stroking Liam's hair. The next few days were a blur of hospital visits, legal documents, and emergency life reorganization. Blake moved Liam into his penthouse, hired a full-time nanny named Emily Wardacom, intelligent woman with a warm smile and years of early childhood experience. His assistant, Miranda, adapted his schedule to include pediatrician appointments and school pickups. His office sprouted dinosaur stickers and coloring books. His mother, Victoria Morrison, was in disbelief. His father, Raymond Morrison, was furious. "You're throwing away your life over a fling," Raymond barked over dinner. "No," Blake said. "I'm building a life I didn't know I had." Liam became his anchor. The boy's fascination with numbers, his love of dinosaurs, his unexpected wisdom, all of it astonished Blake. But nights were hardest. When Liam finally fell asleep, curled up with his plush T-Rex, Blake would sit in the dark and wonder how he had missed 5 years of this beautiful boy's life. One day, Elaine showed up with a wooden box Amanda had kept a time capsule of the past 6 years. Inside were photos from Paris, a faded blue journal, hospital forms, ultrasound images, even a flash drive filled with videos. Blake plugged it in. There was Amanda, reading a bedtime story to a toddler Liam. There she was, filming his first steps, his first words. Her voice, behind the camera, always full of love. And the nun video Amanda, visibly pregnant, sat in a tiny Paris apartment. "I hope someday you'll find this, Blake," she said. "You deserve to know. I'm sorry for disappearing. I thought I was protecting him, but I think he'll need you more than I realized." Blake wept. Days later, Amanda's condition worsened. The doctors presented a risky Option, new therapy that might extend her life, but came with dangerous side effects. Amanda hesitated, but after Liam handed her his plush T-Rex and said, "He'll protect you, Mom," she agreed. The surgery was grueling. Blake sat outside the ICU for hours praying. When Amanda finally woke up, she didn't recognize him. Or Liam. Retrograde amnesia, the doctors explained. Likely temporary. Amanda remembered Paris, remembered Blake, but not their son, not the life they'd shared after she fled. Liam was heartbroken. Blake worked with a team of therapists to help Amanda recover her memories. Liam brought her drawings. Blake brought music. Elaine brought photo albums. Gradually, pieces came back. The smell of lavender reminded her of their garden in London. A lullaby sparked memories of bedtime routines. The crunch of cookie dough in her hands brought back rainy afternoons baking dinosaur cookies with Liam. There were setbacks. There were tears. But there were victories, too. Eventually, she remembered the birth. "You had your father's eyes," she told Liam, tears in her eyes. "And your smile saved me." They began to heal together. Blake stepped back from his company, hiring a CEO to run operations. He wanted to be there for every moment he'd missed. Amanda resumed editing, working remotely for a London publisher. Elaine helped with Liam after school. They moved into a brownstone on the Upper East Side. One evening, as Liam watered the garden, they planted a memory garden filled with lavender, roses, and dinosaur flowers. Amanda sat beside Blake on the porch. "You know," she said softly, "I used to think losing my memories was the worst thing that could happen." He looked at her. "But maybe forgetting helped me see everything with new eyes. You, Liam, all of it." They watched their son chase fireflies under the twilight sky. Later that night, he climbed into bed with them, dragging his T-Rex. "I don't need to wish on stars anymore," Liam murmured. "I have everything I want." And under the stars, in a house filled with laughter, the three of them, once torn apart by time, secrets, and silence, found their way back to each other. They were no longer just a collection of broken pieces. They were family, whole, and finally home.